Hello, this is Roger G. speaking. My wife Lynn and I recently took a 5-day tour that included Kyoto, Nara, and Tokyo. I had been in Kyoto 53 years ago, and I really wanted my wife to see the Golden Pavilion. And she not only saw it, but right here is the picture that she took of it, and she did a great job. So we arrived at the hotel in Kyoto, and the hotel room had this Japanese toilet, which looked like a combination of a bidet and a toilet with music and a warm seat thrown in. We had seen this beautiful bouquet of flowers when we arrived, but we were just too tired to take a picture of it. So the next morning before we went out on tour, I got a picture of my wife along with those beautiful flowers. At our first stop, we learned about what a shogun does and the samurai warriors. The shogun would be the equivalent, I think, of a general in our army. And of course, a samurai would be his infantry soldiers. These 1,001 Buddha statues we saw in this temple right here, wish I could have taken a picture of a few of those because they were very unique statues. Each one was different from the other. Got my picture taken with these junior high school girls, and they're about the same age as our twin granddaughters. I think the granddaughters would just love to be dressed up in a kimono like this. And then we walked through this bamboo grove. It was an amazing experience, I think, going up this path. Just beautiful. And Lynn got her I was there picture. There it is. Over here, we've got a picture of our tour guide. We were surprised at the number of vending machines we saw on the streets of Kyoto. And we were told that these vending machines are in every major city now. We had some nice examples of origami right here. These examples right here were taken at our hotel on our floor. And then the picture of this was at the Japanese dinner. And look how small that is. Speaking of the Japanese dinner, this is a beautiful layout. The only problem is that my wife and I do not eat raw fish. This right here was a cooker, and we thought that we'd be able to cook that fish in that cooker, but no, the waitress had other ideas. So she scooped all the raw fish away, and she gave us a bunch of vegetables and some strips of beef, and that's what we end up cooking in that cooker and eating for dinner. We got a nice example of what a maiko goes through. We also learned that a gaiko in Kyoto is the same as a geisha in Tokyo. The faces were painted white just to make them a little bit prettier in limited light. This is the second thing I really wanted my wife to see, is the largest Buddha. I thought I'd seen it 53 years ago. And then when we went in to take a look at this Buddha, I said, uh-oh, I didn't see Japan's largest Buddha. I ended up finding out I saw Japan's second largest Buddha in Kamakura. And then we've got these smaller Buddhas acting as attendants. Not sure exactly what they can do, but they're there. And then there are also warriors to protect these Buddha statues. And if looks could kill, take a look at that face. If looks could kill, these warriors could do the job. Lisan, she actually ended up being able to crawl through the great Buddha's noise. She almost got stuck, but not quite. Isn't this little girl cute? And then this is one of the best Shinto shrines in Japan. And the beauty of it, I think, is the thing that's amazing to me. This is just gorgeous. And here's the bullet train. This train was built for speed. Look at the nose of this engine right here. Our tour guide got us queued up because we had 2 minutes. and queued up when we had to wait for the people on board to get off, and then we boarded, and we made it with 20 seconds to spare. There's no litter on the freeways. There was no graffiti on any of the buildings. This is absolutely the cleanest huge city that we've ever been in. Okay, our first stop on this day was this temple right here, and it looked to me like it had been freshly painted. The same goes for this 5-story pagoda there and the gate. We didn't purchase any kimonos, but I know a number of people in our tour group did. Then we went on to this shrine where we witnessed the blessing of the babies. It was a beautiful service, even though I did not understand one single word. We saw a wedding party getting ready to pose for pictures, and I was surprised that the bride was not going to wear a kimono. Then we went on to the Ginza district, and so this has got to be Japan's version of Times Square. But take a close look. No graffiti on the buildings, no litter on the streets. Next morning, we got up and I had my cup of coffee, and so we warmed up the water in the coffee pot and poured it right down through this thing right here. It was a very good cup of coffee. We got a kick out of some of Tokyo's highway signs. This one right here had the fish on it, and the fish apparently is the first species to sense a major earthquake coming. And then these symbols, one means out, this means mouth, and so this is a symbol for an off-ramp. And so we took a gondola over this gorge, and we're glad the wind was blowing the other direction. Otherwise, we'd have smelled a lot more sulfur. When we got to the other side, we discovered they had black eggs and black ice cream. Well, the shells of the eggs were black, the insides were white, but then on the other hand, the black ice cream left your lips and your teeth black. We cruised this lake aboard a fake pirate ship, and on that ship were fake pirates. Our next stop was Mount Fuji, and before we got to the 5th level, which is where we were supposed to stop, the clouds parted, and our tour guide got the bus driver to stop, and we got a great picture with the top of Mount Fuji behind us. And then we had to get from Mount Fuji back to Tokyo. Now it's 100 kilometers, which is about 60 miles. It took 4.5 hours. And so one of our distractions was to make these origami hats. So we arrived at dinner pretty late. Teppanyaki dinner, we were waiting for our cook. It turned out she knew what she was doing. She made some tremendously good tasting food. I really like this picture right here that my wife Lynn took. Okay, the final morning before we boarded the ship, we went up in the Tokyo sky tree, and we had hoped we were going to see Mount Fuji from that location. Not a chance. It was way too foggy. So here we are. We posed for a picture here, and then we bought ourselves some ice creams. And that's all, folks. Later that day, we boarded the Diamond Princess for our cruise. And I'd just like to thank the following people who contributed photos for this particular slideshow.